In a land long lost to time, lived a sovereign of vast design. Vast riches he'd hoard, attention he poured, for his nautical greatness enshrined.
Okay. This is clearly a situation where we're supposed to band together against the hero. Let's get this mushy teamwork stuff over with.
Charmed, I'm sure.
Ollie, get away from that thing! Didn't you hear me? The whole forest is in danger. We don't have time for this. The king could be coming to cut it down any minute.
Let's see. Hello there, folks. My name is Anuj. We're back here for another games showcase. For this time, we've got Soul of the Forest by Wolverine Soft at the University of Michigan. We'll go ahead and get introduction started. Go ahead.
Hi, I'm Jacob Robinson. I was the executive producer and design lead for this game. I'm also heavily involved with pretty much every other aspect of our student organization as well.
Yes, hi, my name is Athena. I was the producer on Soul of the Forest, but currently I serve as the audio director for the studio.
And my name is Jules. Once again, I'm event coordinator here at SGDA, and I'll be conducting the interviews.
And yeah, this is Jason again, president of SGA, and yeah, we'll get right into it.
Feel free
Right,
yeah.
Go ahead. Go ahead,
I'll
Nuj.
start
Go
the
ahead.
game.
Yeah, go ahead. Go for it. That was what I was going to say.
All right, let's get started. I'm going to be playing. I'm playing the game right now. Just to show off the game and all the fun stuff that's going on in there. It is an RPG, so like the first area is like a bit to get through. So I'll try and get through as much as we can, just so we can show you guys like as much of the game as possible.
No worries. Yeah, and I mean, we gotta mention like this amazing intro sequence coming in. Yeah, did you guys want to talk about that a little bit, real quick, just to get started?
Yeah, I mean, all the art for this amazing intro sequence was done by one of our great artists, Hilary, and then the voice acting was done by Aman, a member of the organization as well. It's just like a fun thing that was added to the game, just to like give a sense of place to the setting and the characters and all that good stuff.
Awesome. Yeah, and then well, just to continue with that, you kind of want to explain kind of like the gameplay we're seeing right now and kind of like the processes you guys went through. Anything like interesting that comes up?
Yeah, sure. I mean, so this is the start of the game. So the druid has just come out of the forest for market day to go sell some of the stuff he's gathered at the market, and we'll just see what happens, right? So yeah, one of the things that was hard. So unfortunately, our programming lead couldn't make it to this. She'd be able to talk a bit more about this, but like getting like cutscenes up and running, because this is all made in Unity. So we really had to build out our own like RPG systems, just to make this game. And so getting like cutscenes working was a big part of the process, and it was very difficult. And yeah, so I guess we'll start with that.
Speaking as somebody who just had to make a game with cutscenes in it in Unity, I can confirm that is a fun time.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean it's definitely rough. I wasn't, unfortunately. I mean I wasn't working on those cutscenes, but it was from what I was told from our programmers, it was definitely a process and a half. for sure. Especially because this was so. A little fun fact about Soul of the Forest: this was our first ever game where we had a narrative department. Normally, for our games, we make one game a semester, and normally how that works is like we just kind of whenever somebody comes up with a narrative, like the theme and the setting, those are all pitched by art. The gameplay is pitched like separately, but the narrative is just kind of whoever happens to come up with a cool narrative for the setting that was chosen. That like they'll just start working on that, and then it'll get put in the game at some point. But because this was an RPG, naturally we needed a more like a narrative focus from the outset, and so it was a bit of a struggle trying to figure out all right where designs influence on the gameplay ends and where narratives influence begins. So like, okay, we're starting here in the village. That was narrative's call, narrative and art. And so trying to figure out that balance was a big part of the development cycle for us. And we're not a small studio. I think this project had around I think the most amount of people we had working on this at once was like 55, 60 people. So it was a big project.
Ooh. How did y'all go about managing a team of that size? Because I know it sounds like it's a good thing by default, but then as you get bigger and bigger, managing becomes very important. So how did you go about that process?
I mean, you're absolutely correct. I'm sure Athena has some thoughts on this as well. But I was the design lead, and so my team was fairly small. I was leading a team of so this is combat, by the way. So I was leading a team of around six designers. But I was also in this is not like the normal scenario, but I was also the executive producer for this project, which meant that you're having to lead all these individual groups, and that's very rough. But I think the best thing you can do is to make sure that you have people that are really like invested in the project at every level, and to make sure that the hierarchy is clear and that like you're not getting caught up in the bureaucracy of it all. But you're right. I mean, it was a struggle for sure.
Um, yeah, and to add to that, this project was originally supposed to be done in one semester, but we made the decision to expand it into a two-semester project because we just had so many ideas for it that we realized that we didn't have enough time to just fit it in one short amount of 3 months. So we decided that, you know what, it's better to take our time to kind of flush everything out, get we want in the game, and just deliver this final project that you are seeing right now.
Awesome. So during the development, what would you guys say was probably like one of your like biggest obstacles, like when in the development of this?
The technical side of things for this game was very difficult. Again, I can't speak too strongly on that because I wasn't part of the programming team this time around. But from what I heard secondhand from our programming team and how it all shook out, it definitely seemed like the technical side was very difficult. From my perspective as one of the designers of this game, this was the type of game that we've never even attempted before. There was a lot of new in this project, from the fact that we're making an RPG at all, having to deal with a new department and narrative, and just an influx of a bunch of new people in the studio in general. I mean, there was just a lot of stuff to navigate, different stuff to navigate. So that was probably our biggest obstacle. We had to do the combat you're seeing right now. We had to do at sometime in, I think, what was it? I think February, maybe late January. We decided that our old combat system was just really kind of unfun. Honestly, a lot of our play testing feedback was quite negative. To middling, it was the feedback ranged from it's okay to I'm just not having fun. And so we had to really sit down, take the time, and basically rebuild chunks of this combat system from scratch. And you're left with what you guys are looking at right now. But we had to cut a lot of the fat and really double down on what we thought made the combat fun. So that was a big obstacle for sure.
Kind of expanding on that. What would you say is after going through that? What would you say kind of your biggest success for this game? What are you most proudest about in this game?
I'm sure Athena also has an answer for this, and I'm curious to hear what it is. But for me personally, man, I'm just so unbelievably proud of our team. For real, they went above and beyond in every aspect of this game. There's so much little detail and polish in corners of this game, and it was hard to get there because like we were talking about earlier, we had a lot of issues at the start of development, and pretty much like throughout most of it. But when we were thinking about when we made the decision to give ourselves another semester to work on this game, like the game was not in a good state at all at that time, and we really had to like everybody who decided to come back and keep working on it, they really believed in the project, they believed what we were working towards. And I think that the culture and the community that we built while working on this game is really just something that's going to last in our studio for a good long while. Like the success story internally of this game was it was a treat to be a part of.
Yeah, so I guess in my perspective, I'm an audio person, so something that I also worked on for this project is to help with the voice acting. But it's very impressive just to see like how much like people put effort into like that kind of aspect of the game, and it just like shows their kind of openness and like enthusiasm just to like deliver something that will excite people and just like give life to the game.
Awesome. And I'm kind of curious about, and for anyone else who's like kind of curious, you want to expand about kind of like Wolverine Soft as like Wolverine Soft in itself for those who are not familiar.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. So Wolverine Soft has been a thing for what is it now, Athena? Is this our 6th year or our 5th year? I want to say this is our 6th year of being a thing. So sorry, actually, just to clarify, so Wolverine Soft as an organization has been around since 1999. We've just kind of been a place because the University of Michigan doesn't really have like a whole lot of game dev oriented things, especially not back then, right? And especially compared to some other schools like USC or UCLA. And so while that's sort of just starting to change in the modern times, like there are a bunch of new classes that we've gotten to take, Wolverine Soft has kind of always been that place for the game dev community in Ann Arbor to really come together and just have fun. So we host game jams, we have like workshops, just community events. Like there's a bunch of fun stuff that we do, and that's been going on for forever, basically. But in about 2019, 2018 or so, we decided, or not me, I wasn't there, I wasn't the student at the time, but some of the members at the time decided that we could be doing even more, and so they founded what we call today the Wolverine Soft Studio, and so that's the entity that has been making these games, right? So the studio is like a project team. It accepts through application around 50 to 60 people per semester. We make games. Sometimes we make 2 a semester, but normally it's just 1. And yeah, I mean, we try our best to emulate industry practices just to try and get, people who wouldn't really have the opportunity otherwise, that experience that they might need if they want to go into the industry. And so that's kind of our mission statement, like right off the website, basically.
Are the folks who developed this game all students from UMich as a corollary to that, or is it open to kind of anybody in that Ann Arbor area who has like a passion for game development? Because I know for USC it's like it's weird.
Yeah, I mean, so certainly the majority of our members are students at the University of Michigan, but I mean, we've had people from all over. I last semester in the fall, I had somebody on my design team who was zooming in from the East Coast every day. We try our best to have people that are in person, but we're also kind of we're very inclusive to the general Ann Arbor community. And just anybody who's some of our most devoted members have been people who have graduated already, but they want to learn some game dev and get some like real experience, and so they join up with us. Did I miss anything, Athena?
No, I think you got everything. It's just like, hey, like our mission is just like we want to make sure that we are giving like students the opportunity to make a game, because like whenever you're going into the gaming industry, like what they are looking for is that experience that you've made a game, like you understand like, hey, this is something that you need to do. And it's just like, and if you can carry that skill into the industry, then that just helps you more.
And for the past, what is it now, 2 years or so, we've been putting all of our newest games and a few of our best old ones on Steam, and that's that like getting the experience of being able to publish a game on Steam, like knowing what that takes, and having your game out there on such a large marketplace, like it's really like an amazing opportunity. Before we would put all of our games on itch, and we still put all of our games on itch as well, but the Steam version, which is what I'm playing right now, are almost always the definitive versions of our games, and they're all free. They're always free.
Awesome. I think we've got a couple more questions. The first of which is, what are some of the inspirations? I think we talked about this a little bit, but a few of the inspirations for Soul of the Forest and for development.
I can for sure talk about that. So, a lot of the initial conceptualizing for this game, like from a gameplay perspective, was done, back in like August, or like early September, and we had a few pretty major inspirations. But in general, we just really wanted to kind of emulate, that kind of modern RPG style that has emerged recently. Not like the AAA, but like, your kind of indie RPG stylings that have become very popular lately, and that we all working on the game we find very enjoyable and very fun. And so that was like those were our biggest inspirations. But aside from that, we ended up pulling from everywhere. And at the end of the day, I don't think this combat system is really quite like much else. And I'm really proud of the way that it turned out. I mean, there's some obvious inspirations that I'm not going to name, but yeah. Franken was a big one, I will say. That's one of them I can name.
Awesome. We're coming up on time for this showcase slot. So as we wrap up, is there anybody that you both would like to shout out, give a mention to?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. So, I mean, just the whole team, Souls of Force, and everybody who's ever, worked on a game with us. Specifically, all of the leads, Cameron Brown, MQ, Lea, Allie, and pretty much everyone else. I think that you want to see if there are any names that I forgot, or
Yeah, let me try to go off the top of my head here. Let me see. We got some amazing producers. I know that there was Raul, Helena, Anhua, Nicholas, as well as Connor. Connor and I, we got onto the project late in the game, but we tried our best to help in the process in regards to be producers. As well as Leo, who did a lot of the quality assurance on this game. So kudos to Leo for doing that.
Also wanted to shout out really quickly Russ Turner, who is a voice actor that we were able to get, and they did all the amazing voice acting for the Druid. All the other voice acting is just in-house, whoever wanted to do any, but we were able to get externally, and he did a fantastic job on the Druid's voice lines.
I'll just have to say, just everyone who was on the Soul of the Forest team, even if they were just on the semester or who carried on to the second or joined at the second semester, they were all fantastic, and we couldn't have made this game without them. So thanks to them.
Awesome. Thank you all so much for coming by. Soul of the Forest is available now on Steam. It'll be on our SGDA website, as well as we'll put the link in the chat. Thank you both so much for coming by and answering all of our questions. And
yeah, our next sort of coming up in our stream here is the production panel, so stay tuned for that. But yeah, thank you again for Soul of the Forest. Unfortunately, I think the voice acting couldn't really come through on the stream itself, but they have it available on Steam. And so definitely download it from there. That's their definitive version. They have fantastic voice acting, so make sure to check it out there. But we'll see you up for the production panel. All right.